Here are some tips on forming chords. Let's start with the basic C major in the left hand and a C major in the right hand. So I'm playing your root position over here and your root position in the left hand as well. So that's C, E, and G, as you know. Okay, basic stuff. If you want to make it minor, of course, you just flat the third. Like that. Okay, if you want to make it into a C7, well, you have a couple choices. You can take the chord in the right hand over here and flat the root a whole step, and that gives you a flatted 7th. So if you play a flatted 7th in the right hand and just a basic C major in the left hand, you get a C7. Or you can play a C major in the right hand and play a flatted 7th in the left hand. And what I do in the left hand is a little different than the right. I don't always think of just the major chord and flatting the root, because you take the root in this case and you're actually moving the low bass note. So what I do is I just find the flatted 7th. Well, there's an octave of the root, so it's a whole step lower. So here's a C7 in the bass. I'm not playing that with a C major in the right hand. That's a C7. Now, of course, the third choice is to have the flatted root in the right hand, and then the whole step flatted root in the right hand, and then the flatted 7th also in the left hand. So that would make a C7 as well. So they're all C7. Here's one, like this. Here's another version. And here's another version with both. So that last one kind of really emphasizes that flatted 7th, because I'm playing it twice in two different places. The nice thing about this is you can play, say for example, a C7 here and invert the chord here by just playing the major chord in different positions. So I'm playing different C7 inversions, but this hand is remaining the same, and the right hand is only playing C major. Of course, I could play it with the flatted, or like that, or keep the chord in the left hand the same, and play inversions in the right hand. And of course, you can do this with the minor chord. Here's a C minor. Here's a C minor, flat the root a whole step, and I get C minor 7. Or I find the flatted 7 with the left hand and I get C minor 7. Or C minor 7th with C minor. So different ways you can look at that. Other chords, such as 9ths, 11ths, and so forth, really are not that difficult. I'm just going to give you one system with C, and then depend on you to figure out where some of the other ones are. But here's C7. Here's a C major. So therefore that is a C7 chord, because you have the flatted 7th there. If I want to play a 9, you just think, okay, 9 is a whole step higher than the root. So I take the root and I can move it up a whole step, and I get a C9. Or I can play the root there a whole step higher and play it like that. So there's different places on this chord shape I can play it. Or here's an inverted C. And now I have the root up a whole step. It's a 9. Or if I take the third and move it up a half step, that's 4, which is 11. So this is a C11. Or if I want to play a C major 11, I just make the flat where the flatted 7th is, and I just move it up to a major 7. So there's a lot of different ways that I can move the chord and play the different chord, depending on which hand I want to use. I like to be a little bit consistent in, if it's a dominant, I play the C7 in the left hand, and then I play my coloration generally in the right hand. So a C13, well 13 is the same as 6, so that's where the, there's your 5th, there's your 6th, which is 13. So there's your C13. Root 3rd and flatted 7th over there, root, so forth over there. I did lose the 5th, which is not a problem. If you want to get the 5th back, you can add it over here. But again, it doesn't really matter. Believe me, guitar players lose a lot more notes because they're actually just working with one hand. So at least on the stick, you can really get that root 3rd flatted seventh in there for different chords. And lastly, of course, it's true for minor. So here's a C minor 7. Here's a C minor 7. Here's your C, so I'm going to make minor, minor 7. Show you how I got there. In that hand. So for example, if I want to play a minor 9, what would I do? I find the root of the chord and I move that up a whole step. So here's your root. And I can play it like this, which is really pretty because you have that. You have that ninth in there. Or I can take, if that's a stretch, I could take the third, it's a flatted third, and move it down a half step, and then there's a C minor 9. So there's a good way to start to form some of your different chords. Again, I try to keep the left hand really consistent and color it in the right. And then when you get comfortable with that, of course, you start moving around in the left.